Let me just ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. How many times have you said you were going to change your life, and then did absolutely nothing? I'm going to wake up early tomorrow. I'm finally going to quit this job. I'll start eating healthy after this weekend. I'm going to launch my business soon. Just not yet. Sound familiar? Yeah, me too. I've been there. And it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're broken. It's not even because you don't want it bad enough. It's because, let's be real, you're screwing yourself over. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but habitually. And today, we're going to talk about exactly how to stop doing that. Because the truth is, you already know what you need to do. You're just not doing it. And that's not a knowledge problem. It's a behavior problem. You've got big dreams. You've got ideas. You've got goals. But they're collecting dust on a shelf labeled someday. You say you're stuck, but you're not stuck. You're scared. You're overthinking. You're waiting for the perfect moment that doesn't exist. And while you're waiting, life is passing you by. The brutal truth? You're not tired. You're unmotivated. You're not confused. You're procrastinating. You're not unlucky. You're undisciplined, and you don't need another plan. You need to start moving. Let me break this down for you with some tough love. You are never going to feel like it. That's the truth nobody tells you. Motivation is a myth. You won't feel like working out. You won't feel like making that hard call. You won't feel like stepping into discomfort. You won't feel like putting your phone down and doing the work. And if you wait to feel ready, you'll be waiting your whole life. Because your brain, it's wired to protect you. It's designed to keep you safe, not successful. Every time you try to do something that pushes you out of your comfort zone, your brain goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's different. That's uncomfortable. That's scary. Let's go back to the couch. Let's stay in bed. Let's stay with what we know. And if you don't learn how to override that signal, you will continue to sabotage your own progress. So how do you stop screwing yourself over? Step 1. Catch yourself in the moment of hesitation. That moment when the alarm goes off and your hand goes to snooze. That moment when you think, I should speak up, and then say nothing. That moment when you feel the urge to start, but freeze instead. That's the window. That's the moment where change begins, and you have exactly 5 seconds to act on it. Not 10, not 15, 5. Why? Because after that your brain will talk you out of it. That's where the 5-second rule comes in. The second you have an instinct to move, just count. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Get up. Send the message. Make the call. Speak the truth. Do the thing before your mind kills it. You want to know how successful people live? They don't wait to feel like it. They act in spite of their feelings. They move when it's uncomfortable. They show up when it's inconvenient. They execute when everyone else is still thinking about it. Success isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the one who does what they said they'd do. So let me ask you, what are you not doing right now that you know you should be doing? What decision are you avoiding? What habit are you clinging to that's keeping you small? What dream have you been talking about for years, but haven't made one single move toward? Because that's where you're screwing yourself over, and no one's going to save you from that. Not a coach, not a partner, not a guru, not even me. Only you can change your life. And here's the good news. You can start right now, not tomorrow, not Monday, right now. You can stop numbing your discomfort with distractions. You can stop living like a victim of your own thoughts. You can stop saying someday and start saying now. Will it be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. Will you fail sometimes? Yes. But if you keep showing up, if you start acting before you talk yourself out of it, if you trust yourself to take the next tiny step, no matter how scared you are, you will become unstoppable. Because the gap between the life you have and the life you want isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't even time. It's action. Small. Consistent. Courageous. Action. And it starts the moment you stop screwing yourself over and start acting like your future depends on what you do today. Because it does. 1. You're not stuck. You're hesitating. Let's cut through the noise. Most people don't feel stuck because they're out of options. They feel stuck because they keep hesitating on the ones they already have. It's so easy to say, I'm stuck. It becomes this passive, helpless identity we throw around like a warm blanket. It gets us sympathy. It gives us a reason for why things aren't changing. But let's be honest, the vast majority of the time, you're not stuck. You're stalling. You're hesitating. You're letting fear make your decisions for you and then blaming the universe for why you haven't made progress. Sound harsh? Maybe. But it's also empowering. Because if the problem is hesitation, that's something you can change. You don't need to wait for clarity. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need someone to show up with the permission slip and hold your hand while you chase your dreams. You need to stop hesitating and start taking action in the face of fear. Here's what hesitation actually looks like. You have an idea, a spark, a gut instinct to do something. Text that person, speak up in a meeting, start that blog, apply for that job, go to the gym, whatever it is. And for a split second, your body says, yes, this is it. But then, in less than 5 seconds, your brain swoops in and starts its usual chatter. What if I fail? People will judge me. I'm not ready. It's probably a dumb idea anyway. I'll do it tomorrow. That tiny delay, that single moment of hesitation, is what screws you over. You see, the brain is not built for growth. It's built for safety. Its number one job is to keep you alive, not successful. That means anything uncertain, uncomfortable, or risky, your brain will resist it, even if it's the exact thing that would change your life. So the moment you hesitate, the brain gets a chance to shut it down. It turns possibility into paralysis. And this is happening to you dozens of times a day, whether you realize it or not. Let's take a simple example. Your alarm goes off. You feel the urge to get up and go after your day. You have goals. You want to be productive. But instead of moving, you hesitate. Just a few more minutes, you hit snooze. And right there, in that moment of hesitation, you gave your power away. Or maybe you're in a conversation and someone says something disrespectful. You feel that jolt, that internal nudge to speak up, to draw a boundary, to be honest, but you hesitate. I don't want to make a scene. I don't want to upset them. So you swallow your voice and shrink back into silence. Multiply that moment by 100, and you begin to see how hesitation isn't just a small problem. It's a massive pattern that's stealing your life in real time. And the worst part? Most of us don't even know we're doing it. We think we're being cautious. We think we're waiting for the right moment. We think we need more information. But what we actually need is courage. Hesitation might feel harmless, but it's a dream killer. It is the single greatest reason people don't follow through. Not because they aren't smart enough, not because they don't care enough, but because they hesitate long enough to let fear win. Let me say this clearly. The life you want exists on the other side of hesitation. That business you want to build, it starts when you finally take the leap. That relationship you're craving, it begins when you send the text or say how you feel. That version of you that you admire from afar, you become that person by acting. Decisively, not perfectly. So how do you fix it? You train yourself to move before the hesitation takes over. You shorten the gap between the impulse and the action. When you feel the urge, the tiny spark that says, go, you count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Why count backward? Because it interrupts the habit loop. It shifts your brain out of autopilot and gives you control over the moment. It's like launching a rocket. Once you start the countdown, there's no turning back. This isn't about massive change overnight. It's about micro decisions in moments that matter. Get up when the alarm rings. Speak up when your gut nudges you. Act before your fear takes the wheel. Hesitation is the invisible fence between you and your potential. If you can start breaking through it, one decision at a time, your life will start to look dramatically different. And you'll realize you were never stuck. You were just waiting. And now, you don't have to wait anymore. Keynote 2, Motivation. Is garbage, do it anyway. Let's just say it. Motivation is a lie. People think they need to feel ready to take action. They think they need to wait until they're in the mood, until inspiration hits, until they're motivated enough to finally start that thing they've been putting off. Here's the truth. If you wait to feel motivated, you will never do it. Motivation is not what creates results. Action creates motivation. Let me repeat that, because it's the entire foundation of your growth. You don't need to feel motivated to act. You need to act to feel motivated. Think about it. How many times have you felt zero motivation to go to the gym, but once you got there and started moving, something kicked in? How many times have you dreaded doing the thing, but after 5 minutes of just starting, you felt good and productive? That's because your feelings follow your actions, not the other way. We live in a culture obsessed with motivation. We binge motivational videos. We post quotes. We wait to be inspired. But inspiration is a luxury. It shows up randomly. And you cannot build a life you love on a strategy that depends on feeling good all the time. If success depended on motivation, no one would be successful. If confidence depended on motivation, no one would be confident. If healing, growth, change, love, if any of it relied on you always feeling ready, we'd all be stuck in neutral. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to want to. You just need to start, because motivation is temporary. Discipline is what builds your future. Let's talk science for a second. Your brain operates in 2 modes, autopilot and decision-making. Most of your life is lived in autopilot, doing what's easy, familiar, and safe. That's why you grab your phone the second you feel uncomfortable. That's why you default to scrolling instead of creating. That's why you promise to start tomorrow for the 47th time. To change that, you've got to interrupt autopilot and force a decision. And that decision will almost never feel convenient. That's where people screw up. They wait for motivation, and it doesn't come, so they don't act. You want to lose weight? You won't feel like working out. Do it anyway. You want to write that book? You won't feel like sitting down. Do it anyway. You want to finally make that change in your life? You won't feel like taking the first step. Do it anyway. This isn't about becoming a machine. It's about becoming someone who follows through, regardless of how you feel. That's integrity. That's character. That's power. People who win don't always love the process, but they do it anyway. They've trained themselves to stop negotiating with their excuses. They don't wait to feel ready. They get ready by taking action. So the next time you hear that voice in your head say, "I don't feel like it," just smile. That's your cue. That's your trigger to move. Because if you only do the things you feel like doing, you'll always stay exactly where you are. But if you learn to act even when it's uncomfortable, if you learn to build momentum without waiting for motivation, if you train yourself to move with discipline, not desire, there's nothing you can't do. So stop waiting to feel like it. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting, period. Do it anyway. Start the work. Take the step. Say the thing. Show up. Because real growth, real transformation, it lives on the other side of your feelings. 3. Your excuses are lying to you. Let's be brutally honest. Your excuses are convincing liars. They're dressed up in reason and logic. They sound rational. They even feel like they're protecting you. But in reality, your excuses are the armor you wear to shield yourself from discomfort, vulnerability, and risk. And if you don't call them out for what they are, they will slowly and silently rob you of every meaningful thing you're capable of achieving. Excuses are sneaky. They're not always loud or dramatic. Often, they're quiet, subtle. They sound like, "I'm just too tired right now. I'll start when things calm down. I'm not good at this kind of stuff. I don't have enough time. I need to be more confident first. I've already failed so many times. What's the point?" Each of those statements feels safe, justified, sensible even. But underneath, they're pure fear in disguise. Fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. And your brain, that sneaky little survival machine, is incredibly skilled at rationalizing that fear into something that sounds responsible. But here's the problem. The more you listen to your excuses, the stronger they become. And they don't just hold you back from your goals. They become your identity. That's the real danger. The person who always says, "I'm just not a morning person," eventually becomes someone who never takes control of their mornings. The person who always says, "I'm just bad at relationships," eventually stops even trying to build one. The person who says, "I'll never be good with money," resigns themselves to financial struggle. Your excuses start as protection, but they end as prison walls. And if you want to break free, you have to get radically honest with yourself. Not in a self-critical way, not with shame, but with clarity and accountability. You've got to start asking, is this actually true? Or is this just my fear talking? Am I making a decision right now based on growth or based on comfort? What's the cost of believing this excuse? Because there's always a cost. You think you're buying time, avoiding failure, staying safe. But what you're actually buying is regret, stagnation, missed opportunities. A version of life that's 5 sizes too small for the person you were meant to be. Now listen closely. You don't have to pretend the fear isn't there. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel uncertain. But what's not okay is letting that fear control your narrative. There's a massive difference between being scared and being stuck. You can be scared and still take action. You can feel unprepared and still start. You can acknowledge the excuses in your head and then move anyway. Start treating your excuses like smoke alarms, not stop signs. They don't mean something's wrong. They mean something important is happening. They mean you're pushing up against the edge of your comfort zone. And that edge, that's where growth begins. When you hear the excuse that says, "This is too hard," reframe it to, "This is hard because it matters." When your brain says, "I can't," respond with, "Maybe not yet, but I can try." When you catch yourself saying, "This is just who I am," ask, "But who do I want to be?" Because growth isn't about ignoring your excuses. It's about confronting them with compassion, but also with courage. Every time you choose action over excuse, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your limitations. You're teaching your brain a new story, one where you're not just surviving life, you're building it. So the next time an excuse pops into your mind, pause. Don't just believe it. Challenge it. Rewrite it. Take control of the narrative. Because you're not here to live a life that's dictated by fear wearing a clever disguise. You're here to build a life on truth, discipline, and choice. Keynote 4. You'll never feel like it. Do it, because it matters. There is one brutal truth that high performers, successful entrepreneurs, elite athletes, and deeply fulfilled people all have in common. They have learned that you will rarely feel like doing the things that actually matter. And they do those things anyway. This is a truth most people run from their entire lives. They think there's something wrong with them because they don't feel like working out or studying or having a hard conversation or putting themselves out there. So they wait. They wait for the right mood, the right mindset, the perfect conditions, and the wait turns into days, then weeks, then years. Let's get this straight. Your emotions are important, but they're not always true. Feeling tired doesn't always mean you need rest. Feeling scared doesn't always mean something is wrong. Feeling unmotivated doesn't mean the goal isn't worth it. Most of the things that would improve your life in massive, meaningful ways will not feel good in the moment. Waking up early? It feels exhausting. Going to therapy? Feels uncomfortable. Setting boundaries? Feels confrontational. Launching that idea? Feels terrifying. Saying no to distractions? Feels boring. Pushing through resistance? Feels like friction. But feelings aren't the enemy. Letting them lead your life is. Growth is not about doing what feels good. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. You know this already. Think back on any moment in your life when you were proud of yourself. Really proud. Maybe it was the day you graduated, or the time you stayed consistent with a workout routine, or the moment you finally told someone how you really felt. Did those things feel easy? Did you always feel like doing them? Of course not, but you did them anyway. And in doing so, you proved to yourself that you can act in alignment with your values, not just your moods. This is the root of confidence, doing hard things on purpose, not because you feel like it, but because they align with the life you're trying to create. Let's talk about the biology of it. Your brain, specifically the limbic system, is constantly scanning for pain and pleasure. It wants to keep you safe, away from discomfort. So it throws up emotional roadblocks anytime you try to do something challenging. But here's the hack. You don't have to wait for the fear to go away. You just have to decide that your values matter more than your feelings, that your future matters more than your momentary discomfort, that your purpose matters more than your procrastination. If you wait to feel ready, you'll never build discipline. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never reach your potential. Want to change your life? Start showing up when it's inconvenient. Start saying yes to the habits that stretch you. Start saying no to the ones that shrink. You, and stop using your feelings as your GPS. Build a routine. Create a structure. Make commitments to yourself that don't depend on mood. Start small, stay consistent, and learn to love the pride that comes not from comfort, but from follow-through. Because here's the secret. The more you do what you don't feel like doing, the more empowered you become. Every act of discipline is a deposit in your self-trust account. And self-trust? That's the foundation of everything. Confidence, momentum, resilience, success. So no, you'll probably never feel like it. That's okay. Do it anyway. Because it matters. Because your goals matter. Because you matter. Listen to me. Your life is not a rehearsal. You don't get to press pause. You don't get to rewind and try this again later. This is it. This moment, this one right here, is the only guarantee you have. And the way you choose to show up right now is what writes the story of your future. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop blaming your past. Stop hiding behind fear, procrastination, or the belief that you're not ready yet. Because the brutal truth is, you will miss your whole life if you keep waiting to feel like it. You've spent too long sitting on the sidelines of your own potential, overthinking the next step while life races past you. You've been talking about change instead of making it, wishing instead of working, hoping instead of doing, but not anymore. Now you know the truth, that everything you want is on the other side of action. That motivation doesn't come first. Action does. That you don't need confidence, you need courage. That your power is not in what you think. It's in what you do. So make the decision, draw the line, cut the excuses, and leap. You're not broken. You're not stuck. You're just one bold move away from a radically different life. You don't need more time. You need to start. You don't need a miracle. You need you. The future is not waiting for the most prepared, the most educated, or the most gifted. It's waiting for the ones who show up, even scared, even messy, even uncertain. So get up, move, speak, create, ask, leap. You're not here to play small. You're here to live wide open, to build a life so meaningful, so bold, so true, that the next time fear whispers, "Who do you think you are?" you smile and say, "I know exactly who I am, and I'm just getting started. Now go prove it." Because your goals matter. Because you matter.